Liz was a mother rejoining the workforce after a 2-year employment gap. She decided she wanted to work in human resources. The only issue was she had zero experience or education in the field. So, what did she do? She joined CourseCareers, the human resources course that I am the instructor for. And within 4 weeks from her starting the program, she landed a job offer for a people and culture coordinator, got her foot in the door, and is already on her way to a promotion. How did she do it? Let's ask Liz. Liz, so good to see you. Tell
Ditto.
us a little bit about your background before you jumped into your HR career, before you jumped into course careers.
Well, originally I got a master's in mass communication. I thought I was going to be a marketing guru. And I, went through all the education and got my degrees. And then when I started applying for jobs, I kept being told I didn't have experience. And it felt like a lot of doors were closing and it was all experience when I had just worked so hard just on my degree. And after that, I started my own tutoring business. So I kind of had the power myself. And I had some employees and like tutors under me. And I enjoyed that for a while. Then I became a full-time mom for 2 years, right before I started human resources.
Okay, amazing. And so, why did you decide to pursue a career in human resources?
Well, I knew that when I had done my tutoring business, I liked the aspect of education, but there was something that felt really good about doing good by my employees. And so I always had that little inkling towards like advocating for employees. And then towards when my son was around, about like he's getting to becoming 2, I started realizing that he was soon going to be entering school and that I should jump into like an official career, given that marketing didn't work out. And on a podcast, I heard about CourseCareers. And I looked through the website and I found that there was like these like mini course that was just like an introduction to what the different courses would be, seeing what you're interested in. And I found your program for HR and it just resonated. The information resonated a lot, and hearing that like one of the roles of HR professionals is advocating for employees connected. And that's when I decided to start.
Yeah. So what was that like, especially before when you got your master's degree and you couldn't land a role? Like what was going through your head in that moment of, oh my gosh, I just invested in this whole degree and they don't, a lot of all these employees are saying this isn't enough.
Yeah, I felt like I was in darkness and like other people had light in their road and mine had no light. I had no guidance. I reached out to some professors and truly didn't feel like they gave me like, how do I do well in these interviews? How do I set it up where they would take a chance on someone who doesn't have experience? But I learned a lot, or I thought I have something to bring to the table, but I didn't know how to, I don't know, make that resonate through my resume or through my interviews. So it was very disheartening and very expensive.
Oh my gosh. Exactly. Exactly. It's such a common experience for so many people. And so then you got into the human resources CourseCareers course. And what was your experience like going through the program?
It felt very well. It's marketed to be 6 to 12 weeks. I did it in 6 days. I love learning online. So I was able to, I'm a bit of a self-starter, and the content was very easy to kind of consume. The projects were very relevant. So it felt like I was in a groove when I was going through the course, and I started gaining like confidence in being able to land a job, because some of the content, or the underlining of all the content, is this is how you're going to get the job. This is how you're going to impress the hiring manager. You can use these projects as things you're going to bring in your first day. And so it just felt the opposite of my experience in college, because I was being told like, A plus B equals C, and this is how you're gonna do it. Yeah.
Right. I love that distinction of it's not theory, it's here's what an employer is looking for. Show them this in the interview, show them this in your resume. I'm teaching you this so that an employer will see you as desirable versus teaching you some sort of theory that is going to exercise your mind, but is not employable, is not marketable. And so when you then started approaching jobs, how different was this job search compared to that job search you did when you graduated from your master's in communication?
I mean, night and day difference, because when I was applying for marketing, I honestly felt like I was just throwing my resume into the wind. And then here, after you graduate, there's a mini course on how to land a job. But the first part is identifying your ideal role. So it becomes kind of like you're shopping for what you want and not just putting yourself out there and hoping somebody buys it. So I did every single thing that was like outlined. And one of the steps, which I found super valuable, was identify the things that you want in a role. So one thing for me was I wanted an on-site job because I've been a full-time mom away from adults for a while. So I wanted to be around, I wanted to have coworkers that I speak to every day. So that was one of the things that are important to me. And then flexibility, because I'm a mom, and different things like that, I wrote down. And then I started looking at companies that kind of match that. And then I applied to positions that made sense for the experience I have right now, which was more entry level to get me into the door. And I'm aware that I have the skills to flourish in that role.
Yes. And so so you were going for these opportunities with your only HR experience being going through this CourseCareers program. And so how were you able to then use everything you learned in the program to be confident enough to make these companies confident in you and getting these offers?
I think it was the context in the course had a lot of real life experiences. So it connected to like, you're going to have managers that behave this way. And here is a template of how you can, set up an onboarding checklist and different things like that were just like, this is actually what you're going to apply. So it's not just theory. I think that between that and then the resume workshop, I set up my resume for all my transferable skills to be HR related. So my tutoring business became, yes, I did have to onboard all these employees. I did need to do performance checks on them. And I was able to use those bullet points to kind of capture the eye of a hiring manager. And I was able to just market myself for, I'm a great candidate for this job, as well as the, HR coordinator in training, which was a very helpful tip. Putting that there, like CourseCareers, I'm in training doing this. Also, I know captured the eye of the hiring manager who ended up employing me. So when I was sitting down, I was being asked questions. I felt very confident, like if I had already done day-to-day, which I don't have that experience, but it was based off the course. The course added that element of what you're actually gonna see when you start working.
Yes. And you followed it all to a T. You did such an amazing job. Tell me, what were your results? You landed a job very quickly from the time you started CourseCareers to the offer. What was that time frame, and what role did you land?
So I'm gonna be looking at my calendar here just to make sure I have the dates right. It was 4 weeks from the day that I started CourseCareers to the day that I received the job offer. So March 4th, I began the program, and then March 9th, so just like 6 days later, I took the final. It takes a few days for the final scores to be reviewed, and then I received my certificate. After that, I started the alumni course, which was the how to land the job part, which is not to be overlooked. It is extremely vital part. So you can take what you learned and actually turn it into a job you're gonna get. You need to do this. It's tedious, but it is, I think, super vital. So I began curating my company's list of companies I wanted to work for. I applied March 20th for the companies on my list. And then April 2nd, I received my job offer, the same day I interviewed.
Wow, that's amazing. Wow, you gave them no choice but to say, wow, Liz is the person for me. And what was the role you ultimately ended up landing?
I'm a people and culture coordinator.
So cool. You went from no HR experience to a people and culture coordinator in 4 weeks from this program. That's incredible. What did you find most valuable about your experience going through Course Careers?
I think, can I say all of it? Because I just feel that it is in its entirety, creates like a beacon of light, to keep using the analogy of darkness, feeling like in darkness when it comes down to the job market. And then it's just like kind of like a lighthouse that's like, hey, this is the direction you should go. And it's like, here's the information you need to be successful. Here is how you get in front of the faces of these hiring managers that I've seen so many applications, and just go through, and everybody's just like a name, and it gets very blurry. And now that I'm on the other side of it, I even more understand it. And then finally, like, how do you grow? Because you start entry level, but that is not the goal. The goal is to, become the director of people and culture, or, move forward. But like, how do you grow? And one of the, I remember, tips that in the course I said was like, track the things you do and the impact you're having in the company from day one, which I have been doing. So in a month, I'm having the conversation of why I deserve a raise, and I think it's a great idea, and I feel very confident that I will get it. And then in about 6 months, I have like a 30, 60, 90 plan of like when I want to become hopefully a manager and things like that. I made sure I looked into a company that had space to grow. So if that's something that's important to an applicant, then put that in your ideal company list, I would say.
I love that you brought that up, because that's never my goal, just to land someone a job. It's okay, now once you're in the job, here's how you get promoted. Here's how you keep moving up. Here's how employers continue to be hyper interested in you for the rest of your career. So I love that you are using what you learned in this HR CourseCareers course, not just to land this first job, but it's perpetuating through your experience. And so if a friend were interested in getting into human resources, would you recommend CourseCareers?
1,000%. I would recommend it because of how impactful it's been in my life. I was worried. I don't know if other people can relate to this as well. Going from full-time mom, where you have 2 years of a work gap, to getting a job, it's challenging, and I've heard other friends have that challenge. And I 1,000% would recommend to each one of those friends that this is a career that they could definitely go into and land something and actually get into the field that they're looking at. I actually recommended it to my husband, and he is currently doing the back end engineering, software engineer program as well.
Yay! I'm so excited for him and seeing what you both accomplish going forward. Y'all are a power couple. Well, amazing, Liz. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I'm going to send you away with a Wi-Fi high five.
Woohoo.